Generally speaking, in a professional service firm, to deliver a client experience that you could stand behind, you're going to have to be between 30 and 40% profitability, because when you hit 45, 50% profitability, your team is going to be ground to a nub. They'll have no capacity.
So give us a primer. So for someone who's thinking, okay, I haven't done an acquisition yet, I'm looking to scale. What are some of the things that they should be thinking about if they're thinking, how do I best scale, whether it's organic, whether it's acquisitions? On the acquisition side, what are some of the key things for them to think about?
Capacity and profitability are probably your two big ones. And that could answer 10 other questions that you ask, right? But I say the capacity perspective because most advisory businesses, if you look at their profitability, and this ties back to capacity, which is then fundamental to being successful with inorganic growth activity and organic activity, the target profit margin for most firms is going to hover between 30 and 40% is sort of that healthy range that we've seen for firms. Right? And you think, well, okay, if we're at 50% profitability, that means we're better. I would throw a flag on that play and say, no, if you're at 50% profitability, either you're a unicorn and high five, they're out there. We've got one that we're listing here shortly, but those are the anomalies. Generally speaking, in a professional service firm, to deliver a client experience that you could stand behind, you're going to have to be between 30 and 40% profitability, because when you hit 45, 50% profitability, your team is going to be ground to a nub. They'll have no capacity. They're working 50, 60 hours per week, and you're going to have to go hire. And you're going to need to get that person a computer and software and a place to sit. And guess what happens? When you hire that next batch of people, your profitability is going to go from 50 down to 40 or 35. Yep. And they're going to get experience, and you're going to fill up their bucket of time taking great care of clients, and your profitability is going to creep up, and then everyone's going to be burnt out, and you're going to hire more people, right? You're going to vacillate between 30 and 40. If you can hit 45 because of AI and maybe pruning your book of business, more power to you. But as you think about then inorganic growth and being able to go out and buy practices, I can't be running at 50% profitability, which means I could afford to buy better practices, but we're not going to have any bandwidth. Right? We're going to onboard somebody else's job effectively, taking care of, 200 households. We've got to have some internal capacity. Number one, for the team to service, but also for the owner to go have these conversations, right? It's time consuming. Even if you and I hit it off, we feel like we got a really good fit, good match. I'm trying to convince you to give up your life's work and sell it to me, and that your clients are going to land and they're all going to stay. It's just going to take time. And the problem is, if we don't have the capacity, I don't have the time, and I start getting back to you, every other week. Well, this is sort of your proxy for how your clients are going to be served in our model. And if I'm slow to get back to you, and you're in theory my top priority, so capacity is number one, but you got to then balance that with profitability. If you can operate a more profitable business than your peers, you're going to have more valuable business. You're going to have a multiple arbitrage, right? Where you're out there paying 3 times for businesses on revenue, or 8.5 times earnings, and you're worth 3.5, 4 times revenue, or 9 or 10 times earnings. So their business put into your business is automatically accretive, right? Because we're more profitable, because we have the capacity and we're more efficient. I can then, in theory, if I want to win with my checkbook, I kind of can, because it's a short-term win for you with me paying what appears to be a higher price. But in my business, I know how much revenue we can produce per household on average. I know the profit we can produce. I know our capacity constraints. So a buyer, again, not to keep going back to John, but he is a really good sort of polished example, because he's been able to do this over and over again. He's able to effectively balance those two things. And I'm sure size doesn't hurt, but size doesn't do it alone. Size alone does not make you more valuable. I've seen some very poorly run, very large businesses.